Captain Lee Taeho stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant Hope, watching the stars through the main screen. The ship moved slowly through space near the Helix Nebula. They had been traveling for 3 weeks now, looking for asteroids that might have useful metals inside them. It was supposed to be an easy job. The Defiant Hope was not a big ship. It was not a small ship either. It carried 200 people who worked as scientists, engineers, and soldiers. Most of them had never been in a real fight before. They were explorers, not warriors. Lee Taeho had been the captain for 5 years. He was 42 years old and had short black hair that was starting to show gray. His uniform was clean but worn from many missions. He liked his job because it meant finding new things among the stars. Today felt like any other day. "Captain," said Kim So-ra from her station. She was the weapons officer, a young woman with sharp eyes who always watched the sensors carefully. "I am seeing something strange on the long-range scanners." Lee turned to look at her. "What kind of strange?" Kim pressed some buttons on her control panel. Numbers and lines appeared on her screen. "There are ships coming toward us. Many ships. They are still far away, but they are moving fast." "How many ships?" Lee asked. He felt something cold in his stomach. Kim looked at her screen again. She counted the dots that showed up there. 47 ships, Captain. All of them are big, much bigger than us." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing to listen. Park Min-soo, the chief engineer, looked up from his station where he had been checking the engine reports. Dr. Choi Jae-won, who was visiting the bridge to give Lee a medical report, put down her tablet. "Are they human ships?" Lee asked, but he already knew the answer. "No, Captain," Kim said quietly. "The design is not human. I think they are Kaleth ships." Lee felt his heart beat faster. The Kaleth Empire was not friendly to humans. They had been taking over planets and star systems for hundreds of years. They were strong and had better weapons than most other species in the galaxy. If 47 Kaleth warships were coming toward one human exploration ship, it was very bad news. "How long until they reach us?" Lee asked. Kim looked at her calculations. "About 20 minutes, Captain." "Can we run away?" Park Min-soo shook his head. "Our engines are good for exploring, but not for running from warships. They will catch us easily." Lee thought fast. He could try to hide behind an asteroid, but the Kaleth sensors would find them. He could send a message asking for help, but no human ships were close enough to arrive in time. He could surrender, but he did not think the Kaleth would be kind to prisoners. "Send a message to Earth Command," Lee said to Nam Hyun-woo, the communication officer. "Tell them what is happening here." "Yes, Captain," Nam said. His fingers moved quickly over his controls. Lee looked around the bridge at his crew. These were good people. They had families back on Earth and the colonies. They had dreams and plans for the future. Now they were about to face the most dangerous military force in this part of the galaxy. "All hands, this is the captain," Lee said into the ship's communication system. "We have 47 Kaleth warships approaching our position. I will not lie to you. This is a very dangerous situation, but we are humans, and humans do not give up easily. Go to your battle stations and prepare for whatever comes next." The ship suddenly became very busy. People ran through the hallways to get to their emergency positions. Scientists put away their research and picked up tools that could be used as weapons. Engineers checked all the ship's systems to make sure everything was working. On the main screen, Lee could now see small dots of light growing bigger. The Caleth fleet was getting closer. Each dot was a warship that could probably destroy the Defiant Hope with just a few shots. "Captain," said Han Bo-young, the science officer. She was a thin woman with long black hair who usually studied rocks and gases from space. Now she was studying enemy ships. "The Caleth fleet is slowing down. I think they want to capture us, not destroy us." "Why would they want to capture us?" Lee asked. "Maybe they want to learn about our technology. Or maybe they want prisoners to ask questions." Lee nodded. That might give them a chance. If the Caleth wanted to capture them alive, they might not use their biggest weapons right away. The alien ships were close enough now that Lee could see their shape on the screen. They looked like metal fish, with long bodies and sharp points at the front. Each one was twice as big as the Defiant Hope. There were so many of them that they blocked out the stars. "This is Admiral Vexithar of the Caleth Empire," came a voice through the communication system. The voice was deep and cold. It spoke human language, but with a strange accent. "Human vessel, you will stop your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your destruction." Lee looked at his crew. Kim So-ra had her hand on the weapon controls. Park Min-soo was watching the engine readings. Dr. Choi was standing straight and ready. Nam Hyun-woo was still trying to send messages to other human ships. "Captain," whispered Kim So-ra, "what are your orders?" Lee thought about all the humans who had come before him. He thought about the first people who had looked up at the stars and dreamed of traveling to them. He thought about all the explorers and pioneers who had faced impossible odds and kept going anyway. "This is Captain Lee Tae-ho of the UES Defiant Hope," he said into the communication system. "We are a peaceful exploration vessel. We have done nothing wrong. We will not surrender to threats." The alien voice came back, sounding surprised. "Human, you are one ship against 47. Surrender now or be destroyed." Lee looked at the screen showing all those enemy ships. It was impossible. No one could fight against those odds and win. But sometimes, Lee thought, humans did impossible things. "We refuse," Lee said simply. The battle was about to begin. The first Caleth attack came without warning. Bright beams of energy hit the Defiant Hope's shields, making the whole ship shake. The lights on the bridge flickered, and Lee had to hold on to his chair to stay standing. "Shields down to 60%, Kim So-ra called out. Her voice was steady, but Lee could see worry in her eyes. "Return fire," Lee ordered. Kim pressed the firing controls. The Defiant Hope's weapons shot back at the alien ships, but their beams looked small and weak compared to what the Caleth were using. The human weapons hit one of the smaller alien ships but did not seem to hurt it much. "Our weapons are not strong enough," Kim said. "Their armor is too thick." Another wave of alien fire hit the ship. This time, the shaking was worse. Somewhere below, Lee could hear metal bending and breaking. "Captain," Park Min-soo's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. "They hit our main engines. I am trying to fix them, but it will take time." "How much time?" Lee asked. "Maybe an hour if we are lucky. Maybe never if we are not." Lee thought fast. Without engines, they could not move. They were sitting still, while 47 enemy ships surrounded them. It was like being a mouse trapped in a corner while cats circled around. "All sections, report damage," Lee said. Reports came in from all over the ship. The medical bay had lost power. 2 cargo holds were leaking air into space. The food storage area was flooded with water from broken pipes. But the most important news came from Sergeant Yoon Dae-hyun in security. "Captain, they are trying to board us. I can see small ships coming toward our docking bays. My team is getting ready to fight them." Lee nodded. This was what he had expected. The Caliph wanted to capture the ship and everyone on it. They would send soldiers inside to take control. "Do not let them in," Lee said. "We will try our best, Captain." The first boarding ships attached to the Defiant Hope with loud banging sounds. Lee could feel them connecting to his ship like parasites. Then came the sound of cutting tools as the aliens tried to break through the hull. "They are cutting through the outer door of Docking Bay 3, Yoon Dae-hyun reported. "My team is in position." Lee wished he could be down there with the security team, but his place was on the bridge. He had to command the whole ship, not just one fight. The cutting stopped. Then Lee heard the sound of gunfire echoing through the ship's hallways. The boarding had begun. "Kim, keep shooting at their ships," Lee said. "Even if we cannot hurt them much, maybe we can distract them." "Yes, Captain." More alien beams hit. The Defiant Hope. The ship shook again, and this time some of the lights went out completely. Emergency red lights came on, making everything look like the inside of a wound. "Captain," Dr. Choi's voice came through the communication system. "I have wounded people coming to the medical bay, but we have no power. I am using emergency lights and battery-powered tools." "Do what you can, Doctor." Lee knew that Dr. Choi would save every person she could. She was that kind of person. She had once worked for 18 hours straight to save a man who had been hurt in an engine accident. She would not give up now. More sounds of fighting came from the lower decks. Yoon Dae-hyun's security team was holding the boarding areas, but Lee could hear that the aliens were getting closer to the important parts of the ship. "Captain," said Han Bo-young, the science officer, "I am studying the alien ships with our sensors. I think I found something useful." "What is it?" "Their shields have a weakness. Every few seconds, they flicker in one small spot. If we could time our shots exactly right, we might be able to hurt them." Lee felt a small bit of hope. "Can you calculate when the flickering happens?" "I am trying. Give me 2 more minutes." Those 2 minutes felt like 2 hours. The ship kept shaking from alien weapons fire. The sounds of fighting got louder from below. Park Min-soo was still working on the engines, but they were still not moving. "Got it," Han Bo-young said suddenly. "I can predict when their shields will be weak. But we only have a few seconds each time. Kim, listen to Han's timing and shoot when she tells you," Lee ordered. "Ready, Captain." "Now," Han said. Kim fired. This time, the human weapons hit one of the alien ships in exactly the right spot. There was a bright flash, and the alien ship's lights went out. "We hurt one of them," Kim said with surprise in her voice. "Good. Keep doing that." But even as they celebrated this small victory, Lee knew they were still in terrible trouble. They had damaged one ship out of 47. The aliens were still boarding them. The engines were still broken. "Captain," Yoon Dae-hyun called, "the aliens have taken Docking Bay 3. We are falling back to Docking Bay 2. But, Captain, these aliens are strange." "Strange how?" "They seem confused, like they have never fought anyone who fights back this hard. They keep stopping and talking to each other in their own language. I think they expected us to give up by now." Lee smiled grimly. Maybe the aliens had never fought humans before. Maybe they were used to enemies who surrendered when the odds were against them. But humans were different. Humans had a long history of fighting when they should have given up. "Hold your positions as long as you can," Lee told Yoon. "We will, Captain. These aliens picked the wrong ship to attack." More alien fire hit the bridge. One of the control panels exploded in sparks, and Nam Hyun-woo had to jump away from his communication station. "Communication system is damaged," Nam reported. I cannot send messages to other ships anymore. Lee felt another piece of hope disappear. Now they could not even call for help. They were completely alone against the alien fleet. Captain, Park Min-soo called from the engine room. I have some good news and some bad news. Give me the good news first. I got the engines working again. Not at full power, but we can move. And the bad news? The repairs will not last long, maybe 30 minutes before they break down again. Lee thought about this. 30 minutes of movement was not much, but it was something. Maybe they could use it to surprise the aliens. Captain, Kim said suddenly, more alien boarding ships are coming. They are attaching to docking bays 1 and 4 now. The aliens were sending more soldiers. They were probably angry that their first boarding teams were having trouble. They wanted to end this fight quickly. Lee looked around the bridge at his crew. They were all doing their jobs even though they were scared. Nam Hyun-woo was trying to fix his communication system with tools from an emergency kit. Kim So-ra was still shooting at alien ships whenever Han Bo-young told her to. Han was still studying the alien fleet, looking for more weaknesses. These were good people. They deserved better than to die in this empty part of space, far from home. But if they were going to die, Lee decided, they would make sure the aliens remembered this fight for a long time. All hands, Lee said into the ship's communication system. The aliens think we should have given up by now. They think humans are weak. Let us show them how wrong they are. The second day of fighting began with an explosion that shook the entire ship. Lee woke up on the bridge floor, not remembering when he had fallen asleep. His head hurt, and there was dried blood on his uniform. Around him, his crew was getting back to their positions after the blast. Report, Lee said as he stood up. The aliens blew up part of Deck 5, Kim So-ra said. She had a bandage on her left arm, but her hands were steady on the weapon controls. But Sergeant Yoon's team stopped them from getting to the main corridor. Lee was amazed. His people had been fighting for over 24 hours now. They should have been exhausted. They should have given up. Instead, they were still fighting. Captain, Dr. Choi's voice came through the communication system. I have been thinking about something. The alien soldiers I have seen are all very similar. Same height, same build, same equipment. I think they are not used to fighting enemies who are different from each other. What do you mean, Doctor? Humans are all different. Some are tall, some are short. Some are strong, some are fast, some are smart in different ways. The aliens seem confused by this. They make plans for fighting one type of enemy, but we keep surprising them. Lee thought about this. It made sense. If the Kaleth Empire had been conquering other species for hundreds of years, maybe those other species all fought in similar ways. Maybe humans were the first enemy they had met who did not follow their expected patterns. Captain, Han Bo-young called out, I have been studying the pieces of alien equipment that our security teams captured. I found something interesting. What is it? Their weapons are very advanced, but they are also very specialized. Each weapon only does one thing very well, but our tools can be used for many different purposes. To prove her point, Han held up a piece of alien technology that looked like a small metal box with lights on it. This is probably worth more money than our whole ship, but watch what I can do with a simple human tool. She picked up a regular screwdriver and used it to pry open the alien device. Then she used the same screwdriver to adjust some wires inside. Finally, she used it to close the device again. One tool, many uses, she said. The aliens have 50 different tools that each do one job perfectly. We have one tool that does 50 jobs pretty well. Lee was beginning to understand something important. The aliens were better than humans in many ways. Their ships were stronger, their weapons more powerful, their technology more advanced. But humans had something the aliens did not expect: the ability to adapt and use things in ways they were never meant to be used. "Captain," Park Min-soo called from the engine room, "I have been doing some impossible things down here. Do you want to hear about them? Tell me." "Well, our main engines are still broken, but I connected them to the life support system, the artificial gravity, and even the food preparation unit. Now we have about 70% engine power." Lee stared at the communication speaker. "You connected our engines to the food preparation unit?" "The heating elements from the kitchen are now part of our engine cooling system. It should not work, but it does. Also, I used some equipment from the science labs to fix our shield generators. We now have shields that are stronger than when we started this fight." This was incredible. Park Min-soo was doing things that no engineering textbook said were possible. He was combining systems that were never meant to work together and making them better than they had been originally. "How is that possible?" Lee asked. I stopped thinking about what each system was supposed to do and started thinking about what each system could do. A food heater can also cool an engine if you wire it backwards. A gravity generator can also make shields stronger if you adjust the frequency. Lee felt something he had not felt since the battle started: hope. Not just hope that they might survive, but hope that they might actually win. "Kim," Lee said, "tell me about our weapon situation." "Well, Captain, our original weapons are still not very effective against their big ships. But I have been working with some of the mining equipment we carry for asteroid exploration." Kim pointed to her control panel, which now had twice as many buttons as it had started with. "I connected our asteroid drilling lasers to the main weapon system. I also turned our ore processing magnetic fields into a kind of weapon that can grab their small ships and throw them around." "You turned mining equipment into weapons?" "Mining equipment is designed to break apart very hard rocks in space. Alien ships are just metal rocks that move around and shoot back." Lee was starting to understand why the aliens seemed so confused. They had probably fought many species before, but none of those species had ever turned kitchen equipment into engine parts or mining tools into weapons. The aliens came prepared to fight a normal space battle, but humans did not fight normal space battles. "Captain," Lieutenant Seo Kyung-min called out. She was one of the younger officers, barely 25 years old. "I have an idea that is probably crazy." "Tell me." "What if we stopped just defending and started attacking? I mean really attacking, not just shooting back." Lee thought about this. It was crazy. They were one damaged ship against 47 advanced warships. But everything they had done so far had been crazy, and it was working. "What kind of attack are you thinking about?" "Well, Park Min-soo has our engines working better than ever. Han Bo-young knows exactly when their shields are weak. Kim So-ra has weapons they have never seen before. What if we rammed one of their ships?" The bridge became very quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing to listen to this idea. "Ram them?" Lee said slowly. "Yes, Captain. They expect us to stay in one place and defend ourselves. They do not expect us to attack them directly. If we hit them at exactly the right moment when their shields are down, we might be able to damage one of their big ships." Lee looked around at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his decision. These people had been fighting for over a day against impossible odds. They had turned mining equipment into weapons, connected kitchen appliances to engines, and held off alien boarding parties with nothing but determination and creativity. Maybe it was time to do something that no sane captain would ever try. Park, can you give me maximum engine power for a ramming attack? Yes, Captain. It will probably break everything, but yes. Kim, can you time our weapons to hit their shields at exactly the right moment? With Han's help? Yes, Captain. Han, can you predict their movements well enough for us to hit them? I think so, Captain. Their ships move in very regular patterns. They are not expecting us to attack them. Lee made his decision. All hands, prepare for ramming attack. We are going to do something that has never been done before. We are going to attack them. On the main screen, the alien fleet continued to surround them, confident that the humans would eventually surrender or be destroyed. They had no idea that the human ship was about to do something completely unexpected. The hunt was about to become the hunted. The ramming attack came at dawn of the third day, though there was no real dawn in space. Lee had chosen the timing carefully. The alien fleet had settled into a pattern, moving in slow circles around the human ship like wolves around a wounded deer. They thought they had all the time in the world. They were wrong. All power to engines, Lee commanded. Park Min-soo's voice crackled through the communication system. Captain, I am giving you everything we have. Engines, life support, even the coffee makers. This ship is going to move faster than it was ever designed to move. The Defiant Hope suddenly shot forward like a bullet. The alien ships were caught completely by surprise. Their sensors had shown the human ship as barely moving for 2 days. Now it was racing toward their flagship at incredible speed. Target their command ship, Lee said to Kim So-ra. Han, tell me when their shields are weakest, Kim said. Han Bo-young watched her sensors carefully. She had been studying the alien shield patterns for 3 days now. She knew exactly when they would flicker. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, now! Kim fired every weapon the ship had. The regular weapons, the mining lasers, the magnetic field generators, even some experimental tools that the scientists had been working on. All of them hit the alien flagship at the exact moment when its shields were down. The explosion was so bright that everyone on the bridge had to close their eyes. When they opened them again, the alien flagship was spinning out of control, with fire and smoke pouring from huge holes in its side. But the Defiant Hope was not done yet. The ship slammed into the alien flagship with a crash that could probably be heard on distant planets. Both ships became tangled together, spinning through space like dancers who had fallen down. "Boarding teams, go!" Lee shouted. This was the most incredible part of the plan. Instead of the aliens boarding the human ship, the humans were now boarding the alien ship. Sergeant Yoon Dae-hyun led his security team through the holes that the Bedder crash had made in both ships' hulls. Lee could hear the fighting through his communication system, but this time it was different. This time the humans were attacking and the aliens were defending. The aliens had been so confident in their superiority that they had never trained for this situation. "Captain," Yoon's voice came through the speaker. "We are inside their command ship. These aliens do not know how to fight when someone attacks them in their own home. They keep running away from us." Lee smiled grimly. The Kaleth Empire had probably conquered so many worlds that they had forgotten what it felt like to be afraid. Now they were learning. "Captain," Dr. Choi called out, "I am treating wounded from both sides. The alien soldiers who are hurt seem confused. I think they have never seen an enemy show mercy before." This was something Lee had not expected. Dr. Choi was helping wounded aliens as well as wounded humans. She was showing them that humans could be kind even in the middle of a battle. Lee wondered what the aliens thought about this. On the main screen, Lee could see that the other 46 alien ships were moving closer. They were trying to help their flagship and destroy the human ship that had dared to attack them. But they were being very careful. They did not want to hit their own command ship. "Captain," Han Bo-young said suddenly, "I am detecting something very strange. Some of the alien ships are slowing down. A few of them have even stopped moving." "Why would they do that?" "I think they are afraid, Captain. I think some of them do not want to fight us anymore." Lee thought about this. The aliens had expected an easy victory. They had brought 47 ships to fight one small human exploration vessel. It should have been over in a few minutes. Instead, they had been fighting for 3 days, and now humans were taking over their most important ship. "Captain," Nam Hyun-woo called out. He had been working on the communication system for 3 days and had finally gotten it working again. "I am receiving messages from other ships in the alien fleet. They are talking to each other in their own language, but our computer is translating some of it." "Hey, what are they saying?" "They are asking each other what kind of creatures humans are. They are saying that humans do not follow the normal rules of warfare. Some of them are suggesting that they should retreat." Lee felt a shock of hope run through his body. Retreat? The aliens were thinking about retreat? "Captain," Lieutenant An Seung-ho called out. He was the tactical officer, a quiet man who usually spent his time studying battle patterns and strategies. "I have been analyzing how the aliens fight. I think I understand their weakness." "Tell me." "They have conquered many worlds, Captain. But all of those victories were easy. They are used to enemies who surrender when faced with superior force. They have tactics for overwhelming weak opponents, but they have no tactics for fighting enemies who refuse to give up." Lee nodded. This made sense. The Kaleth Empire had become so powerful that they had forgotten how to fight a real battle. They only knew how to intimidate and destroy weak opponents. "Captain," Yoon Dae-hyun's voice came through the speaker. "We have captured the alien command center. The alien admiral is here. He wants to talk to you." Lee felt his heart racing. The alien admiral wanted to talk? This was unprecedented. "Put him through." A new voice came through the communication system. It was the same deep, cold voice that had demanded their surrender 3 days ago. But now it sounded different. It sounded uncertain. "Human Captain," the alien voice said. "I am Admiral Vexthar. I want to understand something. Why do you continue to fight? You cannot win this battle. Your ship is damaged. You have only 200 crew members against our thousands. Why do you not surrender?" Lee thought about how to answer this question. How could he explain to an alien what it meant to be human? How could he make them understand? "Admiral Vexthar," Lee said finally, "we fight because we are humans. We do not surrender when we are protecting our home and our people. We do not give up when we believe we are right. We do not stop trying just because something is difficult." There was a long silence. Then the alien voice came back, sounding even more confused. "But you cannot defeat 47 ships with one ship. This is mathematically impossible." "Maybe," Lee said, "but we are going to try anyway. That is what humans do." Another long silence. Lee could hear other alien voices in the background, talking quickly in their own language. They sounded worried. "Captain," Han Bo-young said quietly, "long-range sensors are detecting something. There are human ships coming toward us. A lot of human ships." Lee felt hope explode in his chest. "How many ships?" 23 ships, Captain. It looks like a rescue fleet." But even as Lee felt relief, he realized something important. The aliens did not know about the rescue fleet yet. Their sensors were damaged from the fighting. For all they knew, more human ships like the Defiant Hope were coming. Ships that would ram them and board them and fight them in ways they could not understand. Admiral Vexathar's voice came through the speaker again. "Human Captain, my fleet is requesting new orders. They want to know if we should continue this battle." Lee made a decision that would change galactic history. "Admiral, you can continue this battle if you want, but I should tell you something. The ship you are fighting today is not a warship. It is an exploration vessel. It is crewed by scientists and engineers and doctors. If this is what our peaceful ships can do, imagine what our real warships will do when they arrive." The lie was perfect because it was mostly true. The Defiant Hope was an exploration ship. The crew were mostly civilians, and real warships were coming, even if there were only 23 of them instead of hundreds. The silence that followed was the longest yet. Lee could almost hear the aliens thinking, calculating, trying to understand what they had gotten themselves into. Finally, Admiral Vexthar spoke again. "Human Captain, I believe my fleet needs to reconsider our position." Lee smiled. The impossible was about to happen. The fourth day began with something that had never happened before in the history of the Kaleth Empire. Admiral Vexthar stood on the bridge of his damaged flagship, looking at the small human ship that had somehow brought his mighty fleet to a standstill. Around him, his officers waited for orders that he was no longer sure how to give. "Admiral," said his tactical officer, a tall alien with gray skin and 4 arms. "The other ships in our fleet are asking for instructions. Some of them want to continue the attack. Others are suggesting we call for reinforcements." Vexathar looked at the reports on his screen. 3 days of fighting against one small human ship had cost him more than any battle in his long military career. Not just in damaged ships and wounded soldiers, but in something more important: the confidence of his fleet. "Sir," another officer said quietly, "there are rumors spreading through the fleet. Some crews are saying that humans cannot be defeated by normal military tactics. Others are saying that if we continue this fight, we might all be destroyed." Vexthar knew the rumors were true. He had been a military leader for 30 years. He had conquered 12 different species and hundreds of worlds. He had never seen anything like these humans. On the human ship, Captain Lee Tae-ho stood on his bridge and looked at the alien fleet surrounding them. The ships were still there, but something had changed. They were not moving in attack formations anymore. They seemed to be waiting for something. "Captain," Kim Sora said from her weapon station, "the alien ships have stopped shooting at us. They are just floating there." "Captain," Dr. Choi's voice came through the communication system, "I have been talking to some of the wounded alien soldiers. They are asking me questions about humans. They want to know if all humans fight like we do." Lee thought about this. "What did you tell them, Doctor?" "I told them the truth. I said that all humans are different. But when we are protecting something important, we all become very dangerous." Lee nodded. That was exactly the right thing to say. Let the aliens think that every human ship they might encounter would fight as hard as the Defiant Hope had fought. "Captain," Han Bo-young called out, "I am detecting the human rescue fleet on long-range sensors. They will be here in about 6 hours. 6 hours. Lee looked around his bridge at his crew. They had been fighting for almost 4 days now. They were exhausted, wounded, and running on emergency power. But they had done something impossible. They had fought 47 alien warships to a standstill. "Captain," Nam Hyunwoo said suddenly, "I am receiving a communication from the alien admiral. He wants to talk to you again." "Put him through." Admiral Vexthar's voice came through the speaker. He sounded tired and uncertain. Human Captain, I have been discussing the situation with my fleet commanders. We have decided that this battle has gone on long enough. Lee felt his heart skip a beat. What are you saying, Admiral? I am saying that the Kaleth Empire may have made an error in judgment. We came here expecting to fight a normal enemy, but humans are not normal enemies, are they? Lee thought carefully about his answer. Admiral, we are just people trying to live our lives and explore the galaxy. We do not want to fight anyone, but we will fight if we have to. Yes, Vexthar said slowly. I am beginning to understand this. You fight not because you are aggressive, but because you will not surrender what you believe is right. This is unusual. Admiral, Lee said, my government will want to know why you attacked a peaceful exploration ship. There was a long pause. Captain, I think there has been a misunderstanding. The Kaleth Empire does not wish to be at war with humanity. Perhaps we should discuss a peaceful solution to this situation. Lee almost smiled. The alien admiral was looking for a way to retreat without losing face. Lee decided to help him find one. Admiral, if your fleet withdraws from this area, the human government might be willing to forget that this incident ever happened. We could say that this was all a big misunderstanding. That is generous of you, Captain. We humans believe in giving people second chances, Admiral. Another long pause. Lee could hear voices talking quickly in the alien language in the background. Finally, Vexthar spoke again. Captain, the Kaleth fleet will be withdrawing from this system. We will report to our government that humans are not suitable targets for conquest. We will recommend that the Empire should seek peaceful relations with your species instead. Lee felt relief wash over him like a wave. That sounds like a wise decision, Admiral. Captain, may I ask you one more question? Of course. If your ship is only an exploration vessel, and your crew are only scientists and engineers, how were you able to fight my entire fleet for 4 days? Lee thought about how to answer this. How could he explain what it meant to be human to someone who had never been human? Admiral, humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When we have to do something, we find a way to do it, even if it should be impossible. We turn kitchen equipment into engine parts. We turn mining tools into weapons. We fight 47 ships with one ship because we have no choice. And you do this because we are human, Admiral. Because we do not give up. Because we protect what is important to us, no matter what the odds are. Vexthar was quiet for a long time. I think the Kaleth Empire has much to learn about humans, Captain. And we have much to learn about the Kaleth, Admiral. Maybe someday we can learn together as friends instead of enemies. I would like that, Captain. Over the next 2 hours, Lee watched as the alien fleet slowly pulled back from their positions around the Defiant Hope. One by one, the huge warships turned away and began moving toward the edge of the star system. The 47 ships that had come to destroy one small human vessel were leaving without completing their mission. Captain, Park Min-soo called from the engine room. The aliens are actually helping us fix our engines. Some of their engineers came over to see how we connected all those different systems together. They seem very impressed. Captain, Dr. Choi reported. The alien medical officers want to learn about human medicine. They are amazed that I treated their wounded soldiers as well as our own people. They say their empire usually does not show mercy to enemies. Captain, Sergeant Yoon De-hyun said. The alien soldiers are asking if they can train with our security teams. They want to learn how we fight in small groups. They say their military only knows how to fight big battles with lots of ships. Lee realized that something important was happening. The retreat was becoming something else. It was becoming the first peaceful contact between humans and the Kaleth Empire. When the human rescue fleet arrived 6 hours later, they found something unexpected. Instead of a battle, they found humans and aliens working together to repair both fleets. Instead of enemies, they found the beginning of an alliance. Admiral Vexithar's final message to Lee was simple. Captain, the Kaleth Empire will remember this day. We will remember that humans are not to be conquered, but to be respected. And we will remember that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from destroying your enemy, but from making them your friend. Years later, historians would call it the Battle of Helix Nebula. But Lee always thought of it by a different name. He called it the day that 47 alien warships learned what it meant to be human, the day that the impossible became possible, the day that one damaged ship changed the galaxy forever. Lee looked out at the stars and smiled. Somewhere out there were new worlds to explore, new species to meet, and new friends to make. The universe was a big place, but it had just become a little more peaceful, and it had all started with a simple human refusal to give up.